there was this like big argument about, how many people were actually there. Beck himself, as you heard, he thinks hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands.
We'll have aerial photography here shortly on the numbers, but I can tell you that it was in the hundreds of thousands. I've heard, let's be on the low end, 300,000. It may be as high as 650,000. But there were hundreds of thousands.
Okay, so he thinks 300,000 at the bottom, maybe 650,000. NBC News, Brian Williams was interviewing the president, was doing his thing from New Orleans on K5, Katrina 5 years on, and he also acknowledged 300,000.
At Glenn Beck's rally on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial yesterday, he was able to attract a crowd. I've seen estimates 500,000. NBC News estimated the crowd at 300,000.
Well, that started a war with his colleague there at MSNBC, Keith Olbermann, who was tweeting all day that there were no more than 87,000 people there.
I'm the a-hole.
I defy you to look at these pictures and say it was 87,000. I mean, frankly, it looked like Woodstock to me. I mean, it was like 500,000 people there. And
I would like to know, if we had a Gibson rally, how many people would show up?
We kind of know that. It's just not very many.
87?
87 would be on the high side. Look,
I'd go for a little bit.
Well, thank you very much, Christine. I really do appreciate that. Then began, okay, so let's just say it's 300,000. I mean, Beck may get it up to 500,000, pure count. Bathtub boy steaming in his apartment in Midtown Manhattan, so jealous that so many people showed up to see Beck and Sarah Palin. So the question became, who are these people?
There were several 100,000 people there. I want to understand what brought them there. This was nonviolent. They seemed to be having a good day. I would like to understand maybe what was motivating them to be there, to listen to these voices, not just Beck, but the others who showed up. Because if we don't have an open mind, we're going to be just what you're saying, and I want to know what do you think it was that.
What do you think it was that caused all those people to come there? Maybe they don't like what's going on. They just like to show that they, don't like what's going on. Mr. President of the United States, Barack H. Obama, also addressed that question.
Given all those anxieties.
What anxieties, Mr. President? Oh, the economy, health care, housing sales, joblessness, a couple of wars going on.
Given all those anxieties, and given the fact that, in none of these situations are you going to fix things overnight, it's not surprising that somebody like a Mr. Beck is able to stir up a certain portion of the country. That's been true throughout our history.
Okay, so he's stirring up a certain portion of the country. Would those be the people who cling to guns and religion and so forth because they're unhappy? Christiane Amanpour, that foreigner.
In a period of time when people feel such anxiety, such anger, such sort of worry about what's going on around them, the economy and the rest, they come here and they hear a feel-good message, and that they respond to.
Well, they can't stay home and watch TV because they got some foreigner telling them how to live. So they go see Beck. And Sarah Palin. I mean, all this argument about how many people were there.
That's right. And there's going to be a battle of the aerial pictures today because the networks had aerial pictures that had up to 300,000. Glenn Beck says he's getting pictures back today that have it up to 600,000. And I don't think he'll be shy about talking about that on the airwaves.
No, he won't. But I'm curious as to who these people are and what they want and what it is that motivates them.
Who are these people? I have never seen these people before. Oh, but there's no doubt how they feel about it on the left.
That is the man who comes to Lincoln's feet to claim the mantle of Martin Luther King. Can we imagine if King were physically here today, were he to reappear tomorrow on the very steps of the Lincoln Memorial? I have a nightmare that one day a right-wing talk show host will come to this spot, his people's lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, little right-wing boys and little right-wing girls joining hands and singing their praise for Glenn Beck and Sarah Palin. I have a nightmare.
Gee.
You, Bill Press, said that for the Park Service to allow this rally was like, quote, granting al-Qaeda permission to hold a rally on September 11th at Ground Zero. Isn't that way over the top?
I think the rally was a stick in the eye.
I don't know. Answer my question. You
no, I don't think it was. I said it, and I'll stand by it.
You're invoking a terrorist analogy for a talk show host. Why is that not over the top?
What I'm comparing are sacred places. We have very few of them in this country. To me, the Lincoln Memorial, I think for all Americans, is one of our sacred places. Again, it should not be politicized.
I'm talking about your language. Your language and bringing al-Qaeda into it. Why is that appropriate?
I think it is just as outrageous to have the people who offended, who carried those attacks out at Ground Zero on 9/11, to give them that sacred site, to give a political huckster the Lincoln Memorial.
Political huckster, huh? Well, Bill Press, can you draw a crowd of 50 even on the radio? 500,000 people out there. That's my estimate, looking at the pictures. Brian Williams, NBC News, said it was 300,000. Of course, Keith Olbermann immediately got up and said, no, it was 87,000. NBC doesn't give out numbers. And then Brian said,
at Glenn Beck's rally on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial yesterday, he was able to attract a crowd. I've seen estimates 500,000. NBC News estimated the crowd at 300,000.
So Bathtub Boy doesn't know what he's talking about again.
I'm the a-hole. John Gibson of Fixed News, today's worst person in the world.
Always striving to be the worst to Bathtub Boy.
You should crawl off into a hole and die.
But the best to you, John Gibson.